expensive shopping.
Expensive, right?
About 3,000 a month.
For rent, 3,000 francs a month.
About 40 francs a month for bills.
3 months ago, I made this video where, upon reaching 3,000 likes, I had promised to make a video about the cost of living in Switzerland. And here I am in Lugano for this second episode. In the first video, we saw that salaries are significantly higher than in Italy, but this also means a better quality of life.
For me, it's very high. I mean, health insurance costs a lot, so the health situation is high.
So let's say that one of the big problems in Switzerland in recent years is that the cost of health insurance has exploded.
Today we are here to reveal the whole truth about the cost of living in Switzerland. Here are two facts about Switzerland. The population is 8.8 million people. The gross domestic product per capita is $90,000, one of the highest in the world. The gross salary ranges from 6,500 to 7,000 francs a month. But we will talk about this shortly with an expert. Because it's true that salaries are high in Switzerland, but not everyone knows that these are gross salaries.
Then Switzerland is divided into cantons that have a lot of autonomy.
Yes.
And there's also a further subdivision, which are the municipalities. Taxation varies greatly across cantons and municipalities, even within the same canton in Switzerland.
But we will talk about taxes, healthcare, and in general the differences between Italy and Switzerland later. Now let's go out on the street and ask people how much they spend monthly on groceries.
I buy the basic things, a lot of pasta, a lot of rice.
Yes.
We never take the meat, for example. Yes, it costs a lot.
How much do you spend more or less in a month?
Each time in a month, I think 300.
300.
Every time we go shopping?
And when we don't do it here, we do it in Italy.
Sly ones.
Because it costs less.
For the groceries, I mean, I could spend more and eat better, but I can't. I spend about 100, 120, 130 francs even a week. I couldn't more. What exactly is left after I've paid?
Is forced to stay so low.
I'm forced, exactly.
Expensive shopping?
Dear, yes?
Yes.
How many are you in the family?
3.
3. Okay, about how much do you spend on groceries each month?
That also depends on what one eats.
In your case.
That is, in my case, it's from 500, 1,000.
I understand. Francs per month? Yes, well, yes, it's still expensive.
Yes, there are 5 of us.
Okay, let's compare. I also have a family of 5 people.
Okay.
How much do you spend here in Switzerland?
I shop here. I don't go to Italy. To buy? I spend around 700, 800
Franc?
a month.
Well, more or less what I spend.
Yes. No, it's not as much difference as that.
So on food expenses like that, it's not much more expensive than Italy?
No.
Honestly, I always eat out. I really take very little fruit, 2 yogurts. I'm almost always out for dinner. As a result, I don't know well, but I know that most of them go to the border because rightly so it saves on shopping.
I understand. As for the most expensive shopping instead, more or less, for example,
I, being a waiter, eat at the restaurant where I work. Otherwise, keep in mind that if you shop here, if you're alone, at least 300.
Ah, yes, that's what they told me.
If you eat well.
Yes.
Those are the costs.
And for the expenses instead, because someone told me that it is still convenient here?
Everything goes in the meat. If you buy generic groceries, pasta, stuff, various.
It's worth it. Not meat, not cold cuts and salami. In fact, this is one of the most expensive places in Lugano.
Yes. But in fact, I heard people saying I can't eat meat too many times a week. Why?
Are you going to Italy?
That is...
The Grand 8 hypermarket is a happy place.
Here it costs a good 3/4 more than Italy.
Really?
Prices are higher than typical in Italy, even when near the border.
Why aren't the prices higher?
Then it depends on what you buy, but at least 300 francs a month, in my opinion.
A person needs 300 francs?
First comparison, breakfast. How much will a coffee and a brioche cost me? Let's find out. Breakfast done. The cost of a coffee and a brioche is 4 francs and 30, which is practically 4 euros and 80. Now the question is, if I spent almost 5 euros on a coffee and a brioche, how much will I spend on lunch? We've arrived at lunchtime. Now we'll find out how much it costs to eat a pizza in Lugano. Guys, the pizza was delicious, but also very expensive. How much did we pay for 2 pizzas, a bottle of water, a dessert, and 2 coffees? 68 francs and 50 or 75 euros and 35. Now let's move on to rents, one of the expenses that most affects a family's finances. How much is the rent here in Lugano? Do you have a house? If it's rented, did you buy it?
Yes, I'm renting. Yes, in Molino Nuovo, so it's not very central.
It's a bit further from here.
Well, yes, but as an older building, it's not that expensive.
Okay, how much?
There are 3 of us, and we pay 1,350.
Agreed?
It's not...
Okay, it's a bit run down. No, well, but let's say it's not a recent construction.
No, but it's perfect for 3 students.
All right, because 1,350 split between 3 anyway.
Yes.
And what? Are they 3 rooms, so 4 places?
Yes, and also a living room, a small balcony, and the kitchen, and a bathroom with a tub and a small bathroom. Only with the...
With the toilet?
Yes, with the toilet.
And as for the rent, where does she live?
So I live outside the center, for which the rent is not very high, also because I live in an old building and the rents have remained at an old rate.
So around 600 to 700 francs.
No, 1,350 francs.
1,350 francs for a 2-room apartment?
No, 3 rooms.
And still low.
Yes, it's low.
But let's say
that I don't earn much to the point that I can have a different social life.
Sure, however related.
I mean, I have to be careful about everything I buy, even when I'm grocery shopping.
Does she rent or own her place?
Owner.
Okay.
And owned by my husband.
I see. And roughly how much do houses cost here? It depends on the area. Like, can you give me some figures to get an idea?
From 1,500 to 2,000.
Okay, for the rent.
Yes.
Okay to buy instead?
It depends on what house you want to buy.
There too, obviously, like everyone else. From how much more or less do the apartments start from?
From 300.
300,000 francs and up?
It depends exactly on the apartment.
I don't live in Lugano, but in Paradiso. It's a bit farther away, though not by much. 3,000 a month.
For rent?
Yes.
3,000 francs a month?
Yes.
For an apartment, like?
All right. 4.5.
4.5 rooms.
3.5, yes. 4.5. It could be 3,000, a little more or a little less.
What are 100 square meters to understand?
Yes.
Okay, I understand. That includes the bills. I think so.
No.
No, you are renting.
So I am a student. I live in a kind of dormitory. I spend 400 francs a month, food and lodging, but it's something they did just for me.
Before, I used to live in a shared apartment and spend 615 a month on rent. Then I did my shopping in Italy.
Okay, so you were saving like that? So were the bills included or were they excluded?
No.
Do you live here? Are you from Lugano?
Yes.
Yes. What's it like living here in Lugano?
Yes, life is very good here.
Good. Are you satisfied?
Yes.
What do you do for a living?
Sales representative.
Okay. The salaries compared to the cost of living, that is, what's the ratio? Because Switzerland is known for its very high salaries and also being expensive, but what's the ratio like? Life is good?
The ratio is that life and costs have increased a lot in recent years. For everyone, perhaps salaries have not been matched to the increases that have occurred. That certainly, yes, is still living in Switzerland. It costs.
In your opinion, how much should one earn to live well in Switzerland as salaries in francs? What's the minimum amount?
At least 5,000-6,000 francs.
And is it a good life?
Yes, at least 5,000-6,000 francs a month need to be earned.
I see. Situation. Instead you rent houses. I don't know if you're renting or have bought.
I'm renting, yes, I'm renting. I'm lucky because honestly I got a good price where I'm staying. But let's say that rents are always increasing too. Even here it is. Another, let's say, a problem.
Can you give me a figure to have a reference, more or less?
A 2.5, at least it takes 1,800, 2,000 francs here in the city.
For a 3-room apartment?
No, a 2.5.
A 2-room apartment then?
Yes, 2 rooms.
Houses and rentals?
Okay.
I don't know, are you renting?
I'm renting 2.5, 1,350 with parking. And the increases have been equal salaries for 6 years now. So keep in mind that if you were doing well before, now if you're not careful, you're on the edge.
It's a bit hard.
If you live here, if you're a border resident, sure, she lives here.
Sure.
No, I'm a cross-border commuter.
Ah, okay, so you're lucky then.
It depends on the point of view. For the traffic, no.
Well, there must be some negatives. I wanted to understand the cost of houses, the expenses a bit, how much it is. Was spent here?
It depends. I mean, if you live here, the cost of living is expensive. A rent can range from 1,500, 3,000, 4,000. It depends on the property you want.
Sure.
Buying is almost impossible, that's it.
And as for the bills, on the other hand, how much do you pay here in Switzerland?
We just paid for electricity for the first time and we had to pay less than 100 for 3 months. Because it's quarterly, so...
Electricity is cheap.
I was expecting a lot more, thank goodness it was less than 100. Divided by 3.
So that compared to Italy is much better.
Yes, even compared to Chile, I am Chilean.
You are from Chile. Wow. So compared to there even...
Point for Switzerland.
The bills are expensive, like electricity.
How much do you pay monthly? Can you give me an estimate?
Here we pay every 3 months, but monthly more than 50 francs, 60, 80 francs. Anyway, it weighs heavily on a low salary. Mine is the lowest there is after my pay. I don't think there is a lower pay.
Last question instead, the bills, the gas?
The bills. I don't know because my husband pays.
Your husband pays. I understood immediately from the face you made that your husband pays. Anyway, how is life in Switzerland compared to the salaries? Because they are very high, but also the cost of living is high.
Yes.
Do you think life is good?
Life is good, yes. As well, peace, safety, cleanliness, because it matters.
Sure, everything needs to be put in. How much do you need to earn to live well, in your opinion, at least here in Lugano?
So if you're alone, I think with everything, health insurance and all, I think 4,000 or 5,000. If you're alone, if you're in a couple, obviously both of you.
It amortizes the expenses a bit, so...
Exactly, alone it's a bit more difficult.
For those, on the other hand, more or less how much is spent here in Lugano, they told me that electricity is cheap.
Yes, but it can reach 3,400, 3,500, something like that.
300, 400 a month in bills?
No Tomases, no every 2-3 months.
Ah, okay. Between gas and electricity, so...
I think so, but I'll take this to my husband.
The husband handles it, that's why.
At least I think so.
Can you give me a figure for the bills?
So,
from what is your experience?
Maybe 40 francs a month, more or less in bills.
Between light and gas.
The light is inexpensive due to the low cost of electricity in Switzerland. Instead, as for the gas, it was like 800 francs for 4 months, so it was quite a bit higher.
I see. What about the bills? How are they?
The bills are better now. Electricity costs about $120 every 4 months, which is very good.
Good. Yes.
But with the rent issue, it's touch and go.
And sure, because anyway...
You have to take that into account.
So you, let's say, with your salary, anyway, living here, you have to be careful.
You can't afford too much in the sense, an outing. Occasionally, yes, if you can afford a trip to Italy, but it's better to stay here and not overdo it.
Well, as for the bills, you know a bit how it is.
Energy costs much less compared to Italy. Everything here is electric, so they use very little gas.
They use very little. Okay, they only have electricity.
Yes.
You would live here in...
But I would come to live. My partner is not for which, so... It's been 9 years that I do like Robin Hood, understand, so I would gladly come. But she doesn't want to, so we stay over there. Of course, also for the children, because we have 2, a little boy, another one will come. And the cost here is unaffordable. Sure, managing everything is not easy.
But instead, regarding salaries, in your opinion, how much should a person earn to live well here in Switzerland?
But in a Household, at least 10,000.
For a family of 4 people, at least 10,000 francs?
At least 10,000 franc. Yes, but you don't live the life of a nabob, you see. You live well. Not, you lack nothing. Yes, but no more.
To have a more complete view of the cost of living in Switzerland, of healthcare, how taxes work, what the salaries are like, how they work, I wanted to interview Stefano, who has been living in Switzerland for 7 years, but I'll let him do the introductions.
Yes, I live in Geneva. I am a specialist doctor in infectious diseases. I have been living in Geneva for about 7 years, and I have been working in Switzerland for about 8. I started right at the beginning in the Canton of Ticino, working as a cross-border worker for a year. Then I moved to Geneva, where I have been living for a few years now. And since, let's say, there is a community of Italian and non-Italian doctors who are very interested in Switzerland, in the Swiss world, in work, especially regarding doctors, but not only. A few years ago, I also created a channel called Precisely a Doctor in Switzerland that deals with specific topics. For foreign doctors who want to come to Switzerland to work as doctors, but also for all people interested in general to come to this country to understand a bit how everyday life works, taxes, the health system, etc., etc.
Sure, so guys, if you are interested, subscribe to Stefano's channel. So, as a first question, I would like to clarify a bit the issue of this famous health insurance fund. Because indeed, even during the interviews, everyone's hair stood on end with this health insurance fund. How does this part work in Switzerland?
Yes, let's say this is one of the big differences, not only compared to Italy, but to all the neighboring European countries. In the sense that, and this should be taken into account when considering the salary and wages precisely because...
Sure.
In Switzerland, the cost of health is a cost that needs to be considered separately. In the sense that health insurance or health fund is a mandatory contribution system, so there is no possibility of not paying it for all people who are residents in Switzerland. In practice, insurances are entities. There are many of them. They are private.
Private.
And they allow to cover health-related costs when there is a need.
Okay, and then how does it work? I understand that there are different levels of this health insurance. That is, there are those who pay more, those who pay less.
Yes, so there are different offers, precisely because it is a free market. So there are different health insurances that offer different rates every year. Globally, there are differences between canton and canton. As a general rule, there are cantons where the insurance, the cheapest one, is still much more expensive compared to insurance in another canton. And that's what varies on your monthly premium because it's an insurance that is paid every month. In general, it's your deductible that is what you have to pull out of your pocket before the insurance starts to cover the health expenses. The highest deductible is 2,500 francs, which allows you to have a lower monthly premium. Obviously, for young people in good health who do not have particular chronic medical needs. It's usually the choice that most people make. Because obviously it allows for a lower monthly premium, hoping not to need it. A big need, let's say, for healthcare and expenses. It's obvious that when you choose a low premium, you also have to keep in mind to set aside a bit of a budget. The fact that if something were to happen, the first 2,500 francs are on you, and not just once you've passed the 2,500 francs. There's also an annual participation fee of 10% of every health expense up to 700 francs. So, for whom? To cut a long story short, in practice, for those who choose the lowest possible monthly premium. Because they want to have the highest deductible of all, they must budget that every year they could, in the worst case, spend up to 3,200 francs before the insurance takes over. Everything.
Okay, and in this case, what could be the monthly amount to pay?
So let's say that one of the big problems in Switzerland in recent years is that the cost of health insurance has skyrocketed. To give you an example, in Geneva, which is still a canton where health insurance costs quite a bit, I personally chose the health insurance with the lowest premium. Because the nice thing is that every year you can change health insurance because every year there is one of the insurances that offers a lower monthly premium. So with the highest deductible of all, I pay around 360, 380 francs a year. And I can tell you that in these 7 years when I arrived, the monthly premium was less than 300 francs, so I was paying 270, 280. Within a few years, we had already increased our monthly income by 100 francs. Additionally, it doubles the amount for the partner, and on top of that, you add the children, where the health insurance costs a little less, but it's still a monthly expense. It's a significant expense to consider when looking at those very high salaries. This is one thing I always emphasize. Yes, the salaries are high. We may discuss it later. But one must keep in mind that these are expenses that someone coming from Italy, France, Spain does not usually consider.
Yes, 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 so it affects a lot, and the prices go so, if I had to give a higher, lower figure to get an idea.
Yes, let's say that prices also vary based on age. The older you are, the higher the price. Because obviously, the risk of having comorbidities is higher and can vary from 350 up to 500, 600, 700, 800. If you go with sick funds, let's say they have, because then there is also a system of, in quotes, reputation. There are insurances that reimburse more easily, others that ask for more information from doctors before reimbursing a certain treatment. So let's say that even a basic insurance, especially the lower the deductible, can go up to 700 to 800 francs a month, so extremely high expenses.
Secondly, I wanted to better understand the salary issue, because as you were saying earlier, they are high. But there is also a different system of taxation rather than contributions. Yes, this precisely is an expense that one personally has. The issue of health insurance, therefore, should be removed, let's say. And then how does it work? In the sense, there are other taxes that in Italy are already withheld at source, let's say, from the paycheck, and that you instead have to pay independently.
Severance pay? I don't know, tell me a bit about this aspect.
Yes, let's say that taxation in Switzerland varies depending on the residence permit one has. For residents, we're not talking about cross-border workers because that's a slightly different aspect. But for residents, there are two types of permits. The first is the B permit, which is for residents. If we're talking about European residents, in the first 5 years of working in Switzerland, one has a B permit. What changes in terms of taxation during this period? Then maybe we can go into a little more detail. It's that the imposition is at the source in the sense that what arrives in your paycheck is already a net salary in which you only have to pay, in quotes, the health insurance.
Okay.
But all that is the imposition in Switzerland. There are 3 tax systems. So, municipal, cantonal, and federal with variations because obviously it's federal all over the country. Then Switzerland is divided into cantons that have some great autonomy. Municipal taxation varies greatly from canton to canton and even between municipalities within the same canton, providing another source of satisfaction. So in the first 5 years, the B permit allows you to have. So the employer pays what are the taxes directly and also pays into the pension system. So, which in Switzerland is made up of what is called a pillar system, where the first and second pillar are mandatory. I don't know if you want to go into detail now or maybe later.
As you wish. Tell me everything, because even the pension discussion is interesting.
So let's start precisely with the pension. In Switzerland, there are effectively 3 pillars. 2 are mandatory. A third is optional. The first pillar is called AVS or AI. And it is the one that actually allows you at the end of your career or in case of unemployment, disability, etc. to cover a certain percentage of need for your survival. Let's say if we have to talk about figures, it corresponds more or less to 20-30% of the last salary before retiring. So obviously insufficient to live on. Then, therefore, a second pillar comes into play, which is the second in which a part is paid by the employer and a part is paid by you, so by the employee. So this is definitely an item that needs to be deducted from the paycheck. And in case you have a B permit, it is automatically deducted at the start, but also when you have a permit called C. So the permit of the indefinite resident before having Swiss nationality, but after having spent at least 5 years in Switzerland, this is automatically withdrawn. So on our part, there's nothing actively to do. And this is interesting because there can be variations according to the employer, in the sense that the law obliges the employer to pay at least as much as is deducted from the employee's salary, but it can also go higher. For example, where I work at my hospital, the employer pays twice as much as what is deducted from me. On the second pillar, therefore, obviously this makes this second pillar become a more important treasure, which at the end of the pension should, together with the first pillar, guarantee you about 70% of the salary. Which is very interesting and which is a bit different from the Italian pension system, is that this second pillar can be withdrawn before retirement for certain reasons. Exactly for the house. In Switzerland, this is a small parenthesis. The costs of houses are quite prohibitive. To give you an example, in Geneva, 2 bedrooms, so kitchen, living room, 2 bedrooms. It costs a little more than 1 million for an apartment. 1 million francs, the cheapest apartment of all, up to figures that can go to astronomical prices. And so indeed, that second pillar allows you to reach that famous quota of 20% of the cost of the house that is necessary to then access the mortgage to pay the 80%. This is a variation when calculating one's own budget. However, the second pillar can be put in the family treasure because for certain reasons, including the house, it can be requested. The amount you pay largely determines it. That's precisely why there's a third and final pillar, which is free, optional, and allows you to complete that 30% to get, let's say, more or less to the salary before leaving the working world. And it's a system. Is a certain number of thousands of francs per year. This year, it's about 7,000 that can be deducted from taxes. So they are invested in various ways to invest them with financial instruments or with funds.
Instead, regarding the severance indemnity, because if I'm not mistaken, there is no severance indemnity in Switzerland.
No, there is no equivalent precisely of the severance indemnity. As we were saying, the only possibility is indeed to possibly withdraw that second pillar. In case one has to pay for the house, close a mortgage, etc., etc. But otherwise, there are no other forms of compensation comparable to the Italian severance indemnity.
Okay, so this also needs to be taken into account.
Another thing I wanted to understand in general, how do taxes work in Switzerland? Do you have any information to give me?
Yes, exactly. As we were saying, for those who have a B permit, these taxes are automatically deducted at source, but for those who have a C permit, like the one I currently have because I've been here for more than 5 years, let's say the person has to actively pay them. So what happens at the beginning of the fiscal year? This is done online, so very practical, I must say, really very streamlined from a bureaucratic point of view. Put an estimate of what you think you will earn during the current fiscal year. You can obviously base it on what you earned the previous year.
If there is an estimate of a possible salary increase or another concurrent activity.
And it automatically calculates for you what will be your tax at the 3 levels, so municipal, cantonal, and federal. There is a significant difference between cantons and even municipalities within the same canton, as I mentioned earlier. And so every year you then receive one of the actual bills and you can decide to pay them all off at once with a small tax advantage that is not very high. In Geneva this year, there was an approximately 0.5% reduction. If you pay everything together, they might
Encourage you a bit more. Give me exactly a 5-10%, darn it all together.
Exactly what I think too. To make it a bit more, let's say, attractive, to block so much money from the start. Otherwise, you can pour it like I do currently. Once a month, you put an automatic payment at the end of the year when you have to fill out your tax return. A bit of a settlement is made. How much did you think you would earn? Estimated to earn. How much did you really earn? How much tax did you pay? So either you complete it if you've paid too much or too little, or they refund you very quickly if you've paid too much. So it's a system that works very well. Certainly a tax burden, especially for families, especially if there are dependent children, which is certainly more kind, in quotes, than the burden of other European countries, including, of course, Italy.
So, Stefano, at the end of the day, what's life like in Switzerland? I mean, in terms of the relationship between salary and cost of living?
It's definitely another planet. You feel it when you arrive in Switzerland, really?
My video maker was amazed that everyone immediately stopped when a pedestrian had to cross with the car, and she was amazed by this. So you can feel it. But exactly, salary to cost of living ratio, since you have also seen a bit of Italy.
Exactly. Let's say this is somewhat the question of all questions, because is it worth coming here? If we are talking about high costs, very expensive rents, health insurance, taxes, extremely high cost of living. The answer is yes, which is why many compatriots and people are interested in coming to live in this country. In the sense that, sure, the cost of living is very high. So thinking about taking that salary and extrapolating it from the context and thinking only about a context similar to the Italian context is a mistake. Because obviously one thinks I come here and I'm rich, and instead no. That is, even salaries of 9-10,000 net francs, which are excellent salaries, obviously do not allow you to live a rich life. In the sense that they still force you to maintain a certain rigor in your budget, especially if you have a family. But on the balance sheet, let's say once you remove all the expenses, etc., the answer, at least as far as I'm concerned, is yes. In the sense that, sure, the cost of living is very high, but salaries are commensurate with the cost of living. They allow you to have a quality of life that is good, obviously. And this I also want to stress a lot on my channel. You have to keep in mind what the expenses are. In my opinion, you need to have a clear budget. You need to know where to stop, how to optimize the tax part as well, etc., etc. But once you do that, surely the quality of life, also thanks to the salaries, allows for a good lifestyle. And then, as you were saying, right, it's a smaller country than Italy. It's a country where services for citizens work well, where the level of safety for families is excellent. Even in quotation marks, in big cities like Geneva, Zurich, etc. And so it's true that once you live here, especially with small children, as is my case, for example, it's really difficult. I see the idea of moving, not only of maybe returning to Italy, but also of moving to another country, even if good job offers were to come. Precisely because then global life, which includes not only work, but also family life, etc.
Sure.
It's really very, very pleasant.
So guys, as you've seen, you shouldn't be blinded by the stellar salaries of Switzerland.
Because, as you've seen in the interviews, there are still people who complain because they can't make ends meet. They complain about stagnant wages and the fact that the cost of living has increased a lot recently. There are people who complain about the health insurance fund. So, as Stefano rightly said, one should not have the idea or think of going to Switzerland and living like pashas, like billionaires, because it's not like that. More or less, the standard of living is the same as in other countries. Obviously, the fact that things are better, that everything works better compared to Italy is something quite evident. But one should not even think about going there and winning the lottery. So guys, with this video, I hope to have given you a complete view of the cost of living in Switzerland to make a difference with Italy. Or for those who would like to move there.